Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, my name's Izzy and I collect cool to hot growing orchids here in my apartment in Sydney. Today I've got another exciting orchid spotlight for you on my Rhynchostylis Coelestis crossed with Aerides Mitrata. Something that you might notice about this orchid is it's actually my little potted and petaled profile picture if you look closely. So this one is very dear to me. I do love it a lot. I love its color, I love its little cute flowers, I love the shape of the flowers as well. I'll give you some close-ups so you can see too. It's just, they're all perfectly formed. That bluey purple tongue is just really striking. And the scent of this orchid. I'm shocking when it comes to describing scents for orchids, but it's another really sweet, really kind of peppery scent as well, I'd say. You can smell it quite clearly if you go up and sniff the orchid, but it's not one that will fill a room, overpower you or anything by any means. But it's just, I love it. It's very cute. And it's almost like iridescent, the bluey purple lip. They almost look like they're glowing. And the white of the petals, they're quite white, but they do also have a little bit of a purpley glow as well. But I just think it's really cool. Its long leaves are very interesting. Mind you, they do tend to sort of bend at the top a little bit, which is one kind of sad thing about it. But it's a really easy orchid to care for. This is the second time it's bloomed, but the first time it's bloomed under my growing conditions. So I'm super excited. So one of the parents, the Rhynchostylis Coelestis, I believe it's probably the Rhynchostylis Coelestis blue, is a species orchid that's native to Thailand, and it's an intermediate to warm grower. So generally speaking, that means about 15 degrees Celsius to about 35 degrees Celsius. It does like bright indirect light as well, so this one's not a super high light requiring orchid. You could probably keep it inside if you wanted to. I have had it outside and it's bloomed outside, so I'm not too sure if you can get it to bloom inside. You might need some really high-powered grow lights, but you can always see how you go. You never know. I could have kept it inside and then maybe it would have been fine. But I just find in terms of the watering, which I'll get into in a minute, the watering is quite frequent, particularly during the warmer months. So it's just easier for me to have it outside rather than moving it in outside every time I water it, allowing it to dry a bit and then bringing it inside so it's not dripping all over the ground. That's sort of the main thing that you've got to watch out for. I do have it hanging as well, which means, there's no roots. Don't know if you can see, there's no roots sort of coming underneath the pot at the moment, so you can sit it, but it is notorious to have quite long roots, some of which are aerial roots and they'll come out of the pot. So it's kind of easier to have hanging, and its leaves are longer than the pot. So I just find it's easier not to damage the leaves if you have it hanging. Aerides Mitrata is another species that's found in Thailand and also in Burma, I believe. That's also an intermediate to warm grower. So this one I would class as intermediate to warm. It's been very happy with the temperatures in Sydney. I did bring it inside over winter, as I mentioned, but then most of the year round it is outside when the temperatures are above 10 degrees Celsius overnight. In terms of watering, the main thing you want to remember is just allow the roots and the medium to dry out in between waterings. It doesn't want to be waterlogged and it wants to be in quite a free draining mix. This one is in a mix of just chunky bark. And I haven't repotted this one since I got it. It seems to be super happy in the medium, and the chunky bark that comes from the growers, I don't know where they get it from. They have special connections. It's often quite a bit chunkier than the bark I can source myself. So I've kept it in that. It seems really happy. It's grown some new roots. Some of the roots have died, but that's kind of normal when they're changing environments and things like that. Humidity wise, I don't worry too much about humidity. I just try and maintain as high sort of humidity as possible. Things say online above 80% at all times. I can guarantee it's not been above 80% at all times. Sydney normally is between like 60, 70, sometimes 80. If it gets really dry on a really dry summer's day, I generally just take the hose and I'll mist the roots or I'll wet the ground and allow that to evaporate to introduce some more humidity in, so it's not super dry. But I think the main thing is you just don't want it to be really dry for a long period of time. The plant probably doesn't like that, and it probably doesn't help with the flowering if it's not super high humidity. From what I've seen and the research that I've done, this one is also, being a Rhynchostylis hybrid, also quite a slow grower. So I've had this one since about April, about Easter of last year, so about April, so almost a year now, 11 months. And it has grown 2 leaves. It has grown this one that's still, I think, growing, because I think it probably goes up and then will come around, and then this tiny little one here. So yeah, quite a slow grower, so it's really good if you're like me and you're a little bit tight on space. It fits nicely on a shelf, just nestled in with other orchids and things like that, and as long as you can give it that bright indirect light, you should be fine. So you know where I got this one as well? Shock horror. Another one that has come from the wonderful Roland Orchid Nursery. I picked this one up when I was in Queensland. I sent him an email and asking if I could come to the nursery because there was a few things that I was interested in, and he was really helpful. I booked an appointment, went there, and then picked up a whole heap of Vandas. So most of my Vandaceous type and interesting little miniature orchids are from him, so you'll probably hear me talk about him a lot if you haven't already. But yeah, really recommend their stuff. It's always really great quality and just interesting stuff. Yeah, so love this one. Just smelling it again, I mean, it probably, if I smell it too much, it is a little bit overpowering. It's very nice, but it can be overpowering if you sit there and sniff it for a while. It might be a bit of an acquired taste one, but yeah, I like it. I think it's really sweet and beautiful. In regards to fertilizing as well, as with a lot of my other orchids and Vandaceous types, I fertilize this one once a week with a relatively weak dose of fertilizer. I was just giving this one its growth fertilizer and then noticed it had a spike and then switched over to the bloom. But I do know that some people do try and encourage them to bloom with the bloom booster fertilizer prior to seeing a flower spike develop. So whatever you prefer, you're welcome to do. I'm still an amateur orchid grower and an amateur when it comes to Vandaceous types, so I'm still learning, but I'll keep giving you updates throughout the year if I hopefully get any of the others to give me flower spikes. But yeah, that's everything I've got for you today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Please give me a like and press subscribe if you'd like to see more of my orchid content, and pop a nice comment down below if you'd like to. I always love interacting with you guys in the comments. It's always so sweet and you're all so supportive, and I'm super grateful. Well, thanks again everyone for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!